Hi. Welcome to season 2 of Legal Penguin. I am your host, not a legal practitioner, and anything said on Legal Penguin is not and should not be used as legal advice. This is all just information that I found on the internet. I feel like I'm forgetting something. On this channel, I summarize and read. Then I summarize legal cases so that you don't have to, unless you want to. I mean, it's a personal choice. This is a democracy, after all. We voted, hopefully. We did. Good. I'm trying to be as distracting from the fact that I've been gone for a couple of days. You're in a cupboard and I'm standing. So let's get started. Today we're going to be talking about the Makate versus Vodacom case, which is a very infamous case and also one of, if not the most expensive cases that I've read through. What are you willing to do for love? Some people buy flowers. Some people move across the world for the person they love. But can you create a multi-billion rand, even multi-billion dollar system for your lover just to be able to communicate with your love? Well, I'll tell you who did do that. Kenneth Makate, he has a middle name, hold on. Kenneth Nkosana Makate was an accountant trainee at Vodacom, and he was in a long distance relationship at the time. The person that he was in a long distance relationship with was a student. And if there's one thing that we all know about students, even if you've never been a student in your life, you know for a fact that students are broke. And my girl was broke. So communication between Makete and his girlfriend, now wife, I believe, which is, okay, sir, okay. At the time, communication was really difficult because if she didn't have airtime, there was no way for them to communicate, really. He didn't know when to call her because she couldn't really tell him to call her. So Makete thought to himself, wouldn't it be great if there was a way that I could communicate with my girlie over here without her having to have airtime? And that is when he sat down and wrote and innovated the whole concept of the Please Call Me, also known as the PCM. Please Call Me. If you're unfamiliar with what the PCM system or the Please Call Me system is, it's basically a way for someone to notify or request another person to call them. And then hopefully if that person was not also broke like you, they would call you. So after coming up with this system, Makete went to his mentor at the time, Lazarus. So after coming up with this whole system, Makete went to his mentor at the time, basically told him, hey, here's my idea. I don't know what you're thinking. What do you think? And Lazarus was like, oh my gosh, this is a solid idea. 10 out of 10. How about we head over to the director of product? I need to actually read this one. It's a long title. Director of Product Development and Management. That was actually not that long. Loverboy Makete basically tells him, this is my idea. What do you think? Giselle is like, his name is not Giselle. Gisela is like, that's a great idea. How about we try and, let's put this out there. Let's see how it goes. And depending on how well it does, then we can talk about, payment, some sort of remuneration for you for all your hard work, etc. Depending though on how successful the product is. But then they also agree that if they can't agree in the future of a way to pay Makete, then the CEO would be the one who decides how much of a percent he would get from the revenue if the product succeeds. So the PCM system was then put into place. They wanted to see how it was going to go. They were basically testing it out. And this system was a hit because, again, people are broke, okay? People are broke. And, even if you're not broke, people like free things. I like free things. I know I do. I used to use the Please Call Me system. I did back then. I did. I know a lot of people who did. My sister did. I don't want to say what she was writing. So the PCM system was rolled out and it became a huge success. So much so that even internally in Vodacom, they started writing newsletters. Wow, look at what Makete came up with. Be like him. Be a grinder. You gotta think big. And then in March 2001, the PCM system was officially now introduced as an official product. Through it being officially launched, that's when the official problems also started to come up. Because if you remember, Makete was supposed to get some sort of remuneration depending on if the product was successful. And the product was very successful. So now was the time when, my man is supposed to be getting his bag. He's supposed to be getting his money, right? Wrong. So instead, what happened was Gisela and the CEO at the time, not Craig, started to get a little sketchy. They were trying to rewrite history, flip it around, like they were being audacious. When I grow up, I want to have the audacity that these guys had. So these two, they started trying to flip and rewrite history and basically say that no, the CEO came up with this product. Guys, don't you remember? The CEO came up with this. Kenneth Drake? Drake? Makate, who's that? Like, they were really trying to just take credit for everything. And after a couple of years, Makate left Vodacom because, he was realizing that, okay, these people are not paying me. After about 4 years from when the system was officially rolled out, he went over to the High Court and he was basically asking the High Court to force Vodacom to, fulfill the agreements. They had an oral agreement and now was the time for them to pay him. It was 2008 at this point. Vodacom at this stage argued, or they responded and they said, first of all, right, Gisela did not have the authority. He did not have the power to be making, commitments and negotiations on our behalf. Like, he does not have the right to be binding us. So like Vodacom, the entire corporation, this director guy does not have that power to be putting us into any sort of agreements and negotiations. This is what Vodacom at the time in this 2008 case, this is what they were arguing at the High Court. Was Gisela within his power to make such a big agreement and bind Vodacom? Did he have that authority? Their second argument was that Makate, it's been a couple of years. Your matter, it's kind of expired. Like, you should have came maybe last year. Now it's like 4 years, prescription. So at this stage, the High Court decided to first answer the fact of if the matter had prescribed. They wanted to answer if this matter was old. Had it expired? Could it not be addressed anymore? And essentially they said, yeah, it's been a couple of years. Prescription is 3 years. This is now 4 years. So it's prescribed. Your matter has expired. So we don't even have to answer the first question. And Makate lost. He lost that High Court case in 2008 because they said the matter had expired. So after he lost the High Court case, Makate tried to appeal, and so he eventually went to the Constitutional Court in 2015. And at the Constitutional Court, again, the two questions were raised. Number one, had this matter expired? And number two, did the director, Gisela, have the authority to make binding decisions for Vodacom? And in order to answer these questions, the court had to dive into a system or the rule of Estoppel. Now, I'm going to give you the crashiest crash course that has ever crashed in a crash. I'm going to give you a basic explanation of what I understand Estoppel is. Right, let me give you an example in the way that I understand it. So it's like walking into a dealership, right? A car dealership. You want to buy a car. You want to buy a Kia Picanto, right? You go over, you say to the agent who's working there, hey, I want to buy this car. The agent is like, cool, ma'am. This Kia Picanto is 80,000. I don't know how much cars cost. This car is 80,000 and you and him agree. You sign the contract, sharp. But just as you're about to leave, the manager walks in and he's like, hold on, ma'am. That agent wasn't supposed to sell you that Kia. This is when you can stop. I stop you right there from bringing up things that I don't know about. Now you're mentioning, this guy that's not part of his role. This guy presented himself as an agent of yours who can sell me this car. So I am now stopping you from denying or mentioning like other things that I'm supposed to magically know about. No. All right. We're going to focus on what I knew at the time and what was presented to me. That is my very basic crash course of what I understand Estoppel to be. I could be wrong. I could be right. Guess we'll never know. So through using the rule of Estoppel and also basically just looking at what does Director Gisela do? By looking at just his basic function is literally to find and introduce new products. He's the product manager, director, person, guy, and this is part of his job. So the court was like, what do you mean he doesn't have the authority? This is literally his job. So the Constitutional Court concluded that, yeah, Gisela does have the power and the authority to make binding contracts on behalf of Vodacom. because that's his job. Estoppel. Estopped. He's been estopped. Estop it. Now the Constitutional Court had to answer the second question of whether this matter had prescribed. Had this matter expired? At this point, it had been a good 15 years since this whole situation started. And I'm not really going to go into the depth of the definitions and the words that the court looked at. But essentially, they said this type of matter does not fall into the definitions of a normal debt. Because a normal debt expires after 3 years. There's a lot more to that than just, but I'm not going to go into that. But in conclusion, the court was like, no, this matter has not prescribed. It has not expired. And at the end, the Constitutional Court was like, number one, you guys owe this man money. Number two, pay this man his damn money. Pay him his money. Just give me my money. And if you remember clearly, the agreement was the parties would have to come to some sort of negotiation and agreement about how much Makate would be paid. And if not, then the CEO will decide how much Makate will be paid from the profits of the revenue. Revenue is profit. So at the end of the constitutional case in 2015, you would think that no, actually, why would you think that? Why would you think that they would actually negotiate and come to a conclusion? At first, these people tried to say that there was no agreement. Then they tried to say that, nah, he didn't even come up with the idea. How on earth would they actually reach a negotiation? So the CEO was like, okay, bro, we're going to give you like 47 million? Something like that. I mean, I know it's spare change, but we'll give you 47 million. Makate said no. Loverboy said no. I hope it's not offensive that I'm calling him Loverboy. But he is a lover boy. To me and you, maybe not to you, but to me, 47 million? I'll take it. I mean, but then you find out Vodacom recorded that they had made a revenue, so a profit of 151 billion. 151 billion. I don't even know how many zeros that is. I'm sure if I thought about it, I'd know, but 151 billion was their revenue, and they want to pay this man 47 million. So it makes sense that he said no. At some point, Vodacom went to the Supreme Court and they were appealing, saying, no, like, Makate is being so unreasonable. Oh my gosh, he doesn't want to negotiate. And the Supreme Court was like, okay, give him 29 billion then. Hello? And that is the end of our case. Well, it's not really the end of the case because the case is still happening. Could be happening right now as we speak. They're talking about serious change. I want to know, what would you do with 47 million? I'm not even going to talk about the 29,525,265 trillion. I'm not going to talk about all of that. I'm just going to focus on what would you do with 47 million rand? Lord, I've seen what you've done for other people. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for all the support that you guys have shown even in my absence. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, just do all the things that make the pot happen. How? And until next time, good luck and goodbye. You're still here? Oh, hey. Video's over. You want to chill? You know what I don't like? I did not like her husband. I don't like him. I don't feel like he's the greatest addition to the story. And then first of all, 40, he cheated on his wife. Let's not pretend like that didn't happen. If his wife had fallen pregnant, would he have stayed with her? Or would he still have left? Or would he have worked on his marriage? The second thing that I don't like about the show is how slow everything is. Like, slow movement. Like, I get maybe it's supposed to be dramatic and these people are trying to act elegant and, you know, add to the story. But for me, it's just like, why are you Why you nansa? Like, why are you moving slow? Move! We're supposed to be running. We're supposed to be escaping. Why are you... Move! Run! What's going on? That doesn't take away from the actual story at all. Like, the things I've mentioned are so, like, trivial. They're so stupid. But we're chilling. We're pals. But yeah, I've gotta go. I am part of a werewolf pack. And the alpha is my mate, but I'm engaged to the beta. So I need to go deal with that. I will see you next time. Thank you for chilling with me. Bye bye.